Welcome to episode one of the Sun Behind the Clouds podcast. Today I've got Nathan Wilson on, who's the founder of Dad's Advocates. So let's get him on. Hey Nathan.
Hi mate, all right?
Yeah, not too bad yourself?
Yeah, all right mate, all right.
Good. Thanks for coming on.
All right mate, not a problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being number one guest in the Sun Behind the Clouds podcast.
It's all right. Much appreciate it, mate. Buzzing for it.
Good stuff. So how's life at the moment?
Hot and bothered.
It's like 31 degrees here in Chelmsford. I'm not quite sure what it is with you, but it's absolutely scorching today.
Yeah, it's red hot. I don't think it's as hot as it was yesterday here, but yesterday I was working out in the garden, putting up a new fence and everything, and I was just like, I've had enough today. so I've locked myself in the office. Locked myself in the office. Got my new office chair delivered today. So I'm happy.
Good stuff. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to take you back to where it all started, where you grew up, and like what life was like growing up and things like that. So, where were you born? What was family like?
Right, so I was born in Leicester. I lived in a little town called Colville, just outside Leicester. There was me, my mum, dad. I had 3 biological brothers. Ended up having 3 adopted sisters as well. So over the years, my parents and as a family, we fostered 156 children. So you know, it was a very busy childhood, but very loving. Do you know what I mean? It was nothing wrong with my childhood. I was just a little tear away of the family, should I say? You know, you always have that one black sheep, that one wrong one.
Yeah, that was you.
That was me. I was one, you know, always skipping school. Couldn't care for school.
Why do you think that was? Do you think that was a cry for attention, or what was the?
No, I just couldn't be bothered. Okay. I just couldn't see the purpose of it. Like, as a child, even with all these foster kids, I got the same amount of attention as everybody else. You know, I think I was just a popular kid at school. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, nah, yeah. I'll just do my own little thing now.
Oh, so from there, did you finish school, or did you finish school early? What was the?
So I've done my GCSEs. Didn't get any results because half the exams I just walked out of and just couldn't be bothered. The rest were like D's and ungraded and E's. So, you know, I left school with no qualifications. When did I leave school? I think 2000. Yeah, 2000 it was. But from when I left school, I jumped straight into an apprenticeship.
Okay.
As an electrical engineer. So in September of 2000, it was September the 11th, 2000, I jumped straight into an engineering apprenticeship. But to be fair, I think I was still too immature to appreciate what opportunity I had. But, you know, I did my apprenticeship. I finished it, qualified 4 years. So I knuckled down, but I still think I was too immature to grasp it and take it.
You didn't realise what you had until you actually came away from it.
Yeah, because then after I left my apprenticeship, I left for a better job, more money. But then 6 months afterwards, it was just cheaper for them to get subcontractors in. So, you know, it was like, all right, well, I've just squandered all these years of electrical engineer in 6 months. So I decided to do something different. I thought, you know what, I've had enough of that now. I'm not going to do engineering anymore. So I went and worked for Toyota. And I was at Toyota for about 13 years as a line production member, standing team leader, union rep for about 13 years, all in all, I think it was.
Did you enjoy
that? Yeah, I enjoyed the crack. I could have a good laugh. You know, I met some good friends from it. I've met my best mate from it, and you know, we've been friends ever since. And you know, he's my go-to person if I ever need any help with anything. But obviously, everything comes to an end at some point.
All good things come to an end. So
yeah.
And then from there, obviously, you know, when the good things end, you've obviously got better things ahead. So
yeah, that's it. So one of the reasons I left Toyota was simply because I won custody of my children, but they had no policies in place for single fathers.
Right.
So where, as a single mother, when you've you've had a baby and you become a single parent, they can change you from night shift onto just day shift. They can have your flexible working hours. But what they're saying was that there's no policies for dads, single dads. And I
Makes
was like,
sense. Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
like,
Because it is also, well, from what I don't have children, but like from what I understand of the situation, it is geared more towards the mother. But
yeah, yeah. And, it's just like, well, just adjust them policies and put single parent in them. you, you
that
know,
would make sense. You know,
it's,
so
it's not hard work, but obviously, there is no policies out there. So ultimately, I left there and moved to Lincoln. I was like, I'll take my kids and go and start a fresh life somewhere else.
why not? So why Lincoln?
Uh, just a lovely part of the UK. I think there's more greenery. So I'm like an hour away from my family.
Yeah.
And I'm 45 minutes away from the beach.
Perfect. Yeah. So
So I'm close enough, but far away enough from the family.
yeah.
If I want to see him, etc. But then we can drive 45 minutes up the road and be at a beach.
Yeah. And you're not living in each other's pockets, which probably helps as well when you've got so many kids and stuff like that. So
Yeah, exactly. So and we live in a little village. So originally we moved to the centre of Lincoln, and then about a year ago we moved to a little village, just like 15 minutes from the centre of Lincoln. So I've got a nice little village to live in. I've got a field at the back of my garden. So we've got plenty of room for the kids, plenty of greenery, like I said, plenty of fresh air. No one bothers us. Just a better life for the kids.
yeah. I don't know much about that part of the world at all. I've heard Lincoln's very nice though. I've seen pictures of it, the castle and the waterfront and stuff like that. So it looks quite nice.
Yeah.
I'll need to get a trip at some point, so I might head up at some point just to be nosy. So
Yeah, definitely. You should do. You got the cathedral, which at one point was the tallest building in the UK. You've got the castle. You still got the cobbled streets in that part of Lincoln as well. So it's really nice. And like I said, sometimes if we're feeling a bit down or a bit bothered, we just got to have a walk around the cathedral and admire the scenery that we've got so close to us.
yeah, it's great. I'm not a religious person at all, but every time I go on holiday or I go to a city, I always like to go to a church. I'm not quite sure why that is. It just I seem to be drawn to it. So
I think everyone does. I think because they're so monumental in history.
yeah.
There are some really nice churches out there. So we went to France. We went to Mont Saint Michael. That's at the top of a 300 stone step, and I had to carry a double pushchair up there once.
Is that the one that gets cut off by the tide?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's some really nice places out there. But like I said, we've got that on our doorstep. So daylight today, go and get an ice cream, have a walk around the castle, the cathedral, and just take it all in and just appreciate what we've got.
Yeah, sometimes you don't really appreciate that until you actually take a step back, and because like when I go back to Glasgow, I go back to Glasgow now almost like a tourist, and I look at the buildings. I do things like a tourist would, but like when I lived in Glasgow, it was like, oh, that's just there. It's not that important, So
yeah, you realise the importance when you've not got it there all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So the last time I was up, I went to this place called the Glasgow Necropolis, which is like where all the old kind of famous people of Glasgow were buried from the 18th century and the 19th century. So there's all these surgeons and ministers, and they're all big gravestones. And I'd never been there before, but it's like the top tourist attraction in Glasgow, apparently. So, but I've just never been because I lived for 30 years in Glasgow and never been, but like, been 9 years away. So the last time I was up, I thought, well, why not? So
why not go see what it's all about? Yeah, don't blame you.
Let's come back to your childhood, Nathan. Sorry. Relationships growing up. Obviously, we're going to touch on your big one later on. But when you were growing up, was there a pattern in your relationships? Did you go for a certain type of person, or?
No, I was just a player.
Yeah.
I wasn't a bad-looking kid. And I was just in there with the crowd, and you try and get the people that you can't get, the ones you're punching way above your weight. But no, I really didn't have a type. A lot of the times it was just a quick bunk up around the back of the bike sheds or something. But nothing really serious. I mean, I was always more torn towards the brunettes. I don't know why, but yeah, I was just a little Jack the Kid one. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Jack the lad.
Talk and walk the walk.
Yeah, yeah, I've got the gifts of the gab. You know what I mean. So
That's something I never had, to be honest. But it's just that if you've got that, I think you're halfway there. So
yeah, so you know, there was never really anything serious. Yeah, you know, and then I mean, the one time I did get serious, I ended up buying a house with her. She left me for a boss anyway. yeah, yeah,
you've not much success with Bill until now, obviously, with the serious relationships. So
yeah. So you know, there was nothing ever serious. I was just what I can get, I had basically. Yeah, but
and in
yeah.
your group of friends, were you the kind of ringleader, or were you just the kind of just went along with the flow, or did you did you direct the kind of friends to do things or whatnot? So what was the kind of that dynamic?
So the group of friends I had, we all knew what we wanted. We all knew what we were thinking. So we all just went with the flow. You know what I mean? And just take. I think when I was younger, compared to this day and age, it was a lot safer to be out on the streets. It was a lot. It was a lot safer just to meet. And don't forget, back then we didn't have mobile phones or anything.
No.
So you know, you had to organise everything at school, and then just go with the flow when you finally got there. And as long as you had 20 pence in your pocket to use a payphone, you know what I mean. You were all right. So we just, as a group of friends, we just went along with the flow. Just, I mean, sometimes we were just playing basketball till 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd have to sneak back in the house through the bathroom window because all the doors were locked. But yeah, you know, so yeah, we just went with the flow all the time. And I think I've always been quite easy and just chilled. Even to today, I'm just quite easy with everything.
You're happy with who you are. You know.
Yeah, I'm a confident person. Do you know what I mean? So it's just wherever life takes me, that's where I know I'm going to be led to. So you know,
everything happens for a reason. So it's just we need to find that reason sometimes. That's all. So
yeah. So, but yeah, and then obviously when that lady left me, I went downhill a bit. You know, I didn't pay the mortgage, and then that's when I got even worse. You know, I was gambling. Spent a lot of time in the pubs. Just yeah, I just couldn't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? Because I was with this girl for 6 years, and then she left me for a boss. So at that point, I was just like, I don't really care anymore. Let's just do whatever. So then, you know, and then by that stage, all the dating apps were out.
Yeah. So that was the kind of.
So that was
you put yourself on there to get yourself
back
out there. So
yeah, and then that's when obviously the wrong un turned up.
Yes. So that was actually one of my questions. How you met? Was that on an online app? Yeah.
Yeah, that was on. I think it was Badoo. I think.
Okay.
I don't think a lot of people remember Badoo, but yeah, I think it was.
I remember the name, but I don't think I ever used it, to be honest myself. But
yeah, met her on Badoo. You know, that was only meant to be a quick pit stop type thing, but obviously one thing led to another, and we ended up pregnant.
So when you guys met, did you feel there was a kind of a rapport originally? Was there a connection, or was there just a kind of?
No, I think you know, it was just I wasn't in a great place mentally.
Yeah.
So you know, as far as I was concerned, someone's giving me a bit of attention, so we just went with it. But then obviously,
I think that's often the way as well. When you're at your lowest, you want someone to pull you up.
Yeah.
And then you obviously when you get to that level, like sometimes you actually if you want to go further, you have got to take them with you, or you've got to kind of leave them be. But like if you're in that situation, but if then you got pregnant, that's when maybe it's going to be quite difficult to actually kind of decide what your next step is.
Yeah, but obviously, what I was also brought up that you know, when you're having a baby, it's with the person you want to be with. So
you do the right thing. Yeah.
You got to do the right thing and stay with her. But at that stage, you know, things got very toxic, very abusive. She controlled all the money coming into the house. She controlled when I was allowed out the house. You know, even if I went to the gym with my mate, like, I mean, at that point I was in the gym 4 or 5 times a week.
Okay.
But she'd constantly be on the phone to me while I'm trying to do my workout. Or
why did that change? Like, why did that happen? Do you think? Was there one point you can think of that when it changed? Just when she became pregnant, or was it before that, or?
I think just as she was hit the beginning of the pregnancy. But you know, even before that, there was quite a lot of love bombing. You know, because we lived together. Yeah, she controlled the money even though she didn't work, and I just went along with it because life was easier that way.
Yeah. So she didn't work at all, no?
No, never worked a
Right,
day in her life.
Yeah, because normally people who have displayed narcissistic tendencies tend to be quite driven. They're going to be quite powerful at work, and then they kind of just.
Yeah, she was nothing. Yeah, you know, and yeah, you know, I don't think it helped that you know, she knew I was a player from before, but you know, all I wanted to do was go and spend time with my mates and go to the gym. And it's that simple, do you know what I mean? So, but then you know, the conversations come like, "Oh, don't you want to be with me anymore? Do you not love me enough?" And, you know, it's like I just want to go spend an hour at the gym. What's wrong with that?
Mm.
You know, I can love you and want to be with you.
Yeah,
Go to the gym.
if you're living together, you don't need that constant kind of contact. I wouldn't think. So I've never been in a situation where I've lived with a partner, but I would imagine if the dynamic changes quite considerably when you're living together. Like
Yeah,
you don't need that kind of constant reassurance and constant kind of reminder that you know that you love them, or because if you didn't love them, you wouldn't be living with them
no,
ultimately.
exactly.
So
So you know, so there was all of that, and then obviously when my daughter was born, she'd play on the emotions of the daughter, like, don't you love your daughter anymore? And I was like,
mm,
well, of course I do. She's like a month old. She's
yeah,
sleeping all the time. Does it matter if I go to the gym? Yeah.
yeah,
And even when I was at work, I'd have to ring her on my breaks. I'm like,
just to check in.
yeah, just to check in to make sure I wasn't doing anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do in a male dominant thing when you've got a 10-minute break type thing? You know what I mean? You've got enough time to drink a drink and go to the toilet.
Much
and,
so.
and I spent that time on the phone to her type of thing. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So looking back at what she was like, why do you think she was like? Do you know any reason why she was like that? Was it her family background? Was there a history of that, or do you think there was just she was just a bad egg, or?
they're just a waste of space. Her and her whole family, that's the way they live. They like the drink. They like to. They spent every minute of the day together as a family.
Okay.
You know, and they weren't the people that I wanted to be around. Do you know what I mean? I'm not someone that can just sit in a room drinking, smoking, and
No.
doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? I like to be out and about.
Yeah.
So
I think there's quite a lot of families that are like once there's a kind of child involved, or once there is that kind of something to control. Like I think they should have used that baby probably as a bit of a control as well, probably
yeah,
to control you somewhat as well, but to control her situation as well.
yeah,
And
yeah. But you know, and then there's just no need for it. There's just no need for it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's just one of them things, and you got to live and learn by the mistakes. And unfortunately, you don't learn until you're able to get away from it.
yeah, you've got to go through that pain to get the gain in some ways.
Yeah,
So it's a bit of a double-edged sword in a lot of ways. You know, if you actually you can't. I think going through these kind of situations, it's a bit like an addiction sometimes as well.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
a lot of people don't really understand unless you've been through that kind of toxic relationship, controlling relationship. You can't really talk to someone because they don't really understand it, because they just say walk away. They don't just you're better than that. But then if you're in that situation, you don't think that.
No, exactly. You know, my best mate, he kept saying, "This isn't how a relationship should be." You know what I mean. Why are you doing it like this? Why just put your phone away for an hour? You know, and then, but it's so hard because even at that point when I put my phone away for that hour, I'd get a phone call saying the ambulance is coming out to your daughter. You know, she's not very well, so you need to get round here. And then you get there, nothing's happened. She's just had a cough or something. And then it just stems from that all the time. Do you know what I mean? Then is my child safe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess, that was alarm bells when she started to kind of sending like those texts to say that your daughter wasn't well and you had to come home, and that kind of thing was.
Yeah. So you know, by that point, I was ready to leave. but then unfortunately she got pregnant again. So I was like, well, I can't just leave. You know what I mean?
No.
Because my daughter was like 3, 4 months old at this point.
Right. Okay.
So you know, she was literally pregnant straight away.
Yeah.
So yes, I couldn't leave then. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just
So
stuck
well,
here.
despite the kind of that toxicity, you guys were still pretty close then in terms of affection and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, but was it just a thing that you do because you're in a relationship rather than
Yeah. Mm.
having any feelings behind it? Do you know what I mean? It's just
It just became robotic slightly. Yeah.
yeah, it just came part of the routine, daily routine. Do you
Mm.
know what I mean? In life, if you're with someone, then you sleep with them. That time, there was no real feelings there, but
Mm.
you know, it's either I get it from her or I go somewhere else.
Yeah. Mm.
So
And sometimes, like, I think if you're in that situation, you do think like that's the only way out to actually go with someone else because like
yeah,
that's your escape. But then ultimately, if that does happen, it's probably going to be 100 times worse if they find out, etc. So
yeah. So you know, so we just kept it routine. You know, tried to make it work, but obviously it just didn't. And then
mm,
you know, it was still so toxic and still going on like that that eventually, halfway through the pregnancy, I just left anyway.
yeah. So during this, when it all kind of started to go wrong, like what did your parents say? Were your parents trying to advise you to stay, or were they trying to say go? What was their kind of view on it? Because obviously you came from quite a loving family. They obviously
That,
saw that wasn't a loving environment. What was their thought on it? So
well, the problem is, like, because but when you're in a relationship like that and someone's so manipulative, when we were with the family, everything looked normal.
yeah, okay.
Everything looked,
So
everything,
she just kind of masked the kind of
yeah.
toxicity. Yeah.
And obviously being a man, you don't go to your mum and say, "Mum, this is happening."
No, exactly. Yeah. Mm.
You know, you just, as they say, you
Yeah.
man up and just get on with it.
Yeah, I think your parents would probably know, but they don't really want to get involved either. You know, they just
Yeah,
kind of
no.
they probably sense something's wrong, but they don't want to kind of interfere too much. And
And the problem is, even to this day, I'm very headstrong.
mm,
Like, you can't tell me what to do; it ain't gonna work. You just
yeah,
have to let me get on with it, and because I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. And I think
yeah,
they knew that, so you know, but they were there when it mattered after it all come to an end.
they would all
Like,
fell apart. They were there to help you pick it up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you know, but that's how me and my family are.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh, it's probably well, it's not good that they're kind of they're not interested as such, but it's good when you're there to pick it up when it all
yeah.
falls apart. So
But then obviously now I'm getting older. You know, if I do have an issue, then I do ring my mum.
yeah,
Yeah, but I'll probably go to my mum now with my problems than I ever have done in my life. So
yeah,
but
to get that kind of mother's advice. Mm,
yeah, but
yeah.
you know, that's
So
life,
when
isn't
you
it?
walked away when she was pregnant with the second child, what was the final straw? What made what was just was there just one thing that actually you said that's it enough?
Just when my children were just having the ambulances out all the time, and it just made me realise that I am being so manipulated here. I'm being so controlled in what I do that
Yeah,
it's not good at all. So I literally just pack my bags up, and I only moved to the next street because you know I still wanted to be there for my daughter, and
yeah, obviously.
even though I didn't want to be with her, I knew I still had to be there for the pregnancy because I had another child on its way.
Yeah.
So rather than moving an hour up the road, I moved a 30-second walk.
Mm.
Uh, but
How did
then,
she take that when you moved?
well, she took it bad, and you know, she was like, "Well, you'll never see your kids, and you know, you'll never see your daughter." But then she'd spend the day walking past my house all the time just to look in the window to see if I was there. And
Yeah.
if I wasn't there, then I'd get a phone call saying your daughter wants to talk to you. I was like, "But my
Okay.
daughter's 6 months old; she doesn't talk." But obviously, as a dad, you still pick up your phone, you still make that video call, you still make
Yeah.
that phone call,
You do what you need to do, don't you?
yeah, even though you know that your daughter's not going to talk to you back because she's barely smiling,
Yeah.
let alone anything else. You know what I mean? So
Mm. She's probably just
but,
started to recognize you as her dad, but doesn't really actually know how to verbalize it. So
yeah, so you know, and then my son was born at Christmas time. You know, he was born 7 weeks early. So that made it difficult because obviously, you know, I had to be there for my son all the time because he was in an incubator.
Okay.
Obviously, I still needed to look out for my daughter, who was at home with the ex. So, you know, and then I think it was about the February after my son was born. So it would have been, no, it would have been a bit later. So early 2016, I met my partner, and you know, I'll always remember this day. My ex kept ringing and ringing and ringing, and my partner said to me, "Just leave it, just ignore it. Let's just finish doing what we're doing. You know, if it's that important, she'll ring you back later on, or she'll leave a message." And I was like, "I've got a feeling something bad's going to happen."
Mm.
And I remember we were in Lincoln, we were in Sainsbury's at the time, and I got a message on my phone, and it was a photo of my son, who was only a couple of months old, and his leg was in a bandage because he'd had third-degree burns to his leg.
What?
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, I was like, right, I'm gonna have to go over to Derby. I'm gonna get down there, and like the partner says, no, just you can't go because you're too worked up. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
good for the kids. It's not gonna be good for anyone else. So I rang my mum and I said, Mum, you're gonna have to go and deal with this and see what's happened. And the problem was from that there was so many different stories on how the burn to his leg had happened.
Mm.
It just was unreal on any of the stories. So the
Yeah.
kids were then placed on a children in need plan with social services, because obviously the kids have been hurt while in someone's care.
Yeah. So what actually happened? And did you actually find out what actually happened, or was it just a sort of version of the truth you got? Or
But no, you know, we'll never find out. We'll never find out what really happened. I know what I believe happened,
yeah.
but we'll never find out what happened because, like I said, there was 2 or 3 different stories to the doctor,
Mhm.
and she's never come clean of what really happened. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're just gonna try and push past it.
Mm. And did your mum, like when she went around to sort of check on the child, did she see any obvious issues, or was she horrified? What was her thoughts on it?
Well, obviously, she was horrified that this couple-month-old baby's got third-degree burns to his leg.
Mm.
you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think the worst part is, like you say, we never found out the truth.
Mm.
Yeah, I personally believe it was done on purpose to get my attention.
Yeah.
Can I prove that? No, but the history says there's pretty something serious has happened.
Yeah. So you were with someone different. You're with were you with your current, sorry, start again. Were you with your current partner at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
time? Or, yeah.
yeah. So we not long moved to the house in Lincoln.
Mm.
So you know, she was moving to Lincoln anyway. So
So you just kind of went with the flow on that one.
yeah. Well, we were just in Sainsbury. We were just buying a couple of stuff for the house. You know,
Mm.
coffee machine and stuff like that. Just so
Yeah, it was. I think that was quite good advice you gave for you not to go, because I think if you went, you were obviously going to go in all guns blazing, cause a bit of a scene, and it would have been probably a lot worse, really, for you.
oh
Probably. So
yeah, definitely. It wouldn't have been nice for me. It wouldn't have been nice for my son. You know,
no.
something could have seriously gone wrong.
Yeah.
And
How old was your daughter at this stage?
so had only just turned a year old.
Right, so she was kind of not kind of blissful and aware somewhat, just she knew
Yeah,
something had happened, obviously, but not really.
yeah. No, there's only 10 months between my son and daughter.
Right.
They were
Mm.
both. One was born in the February 2015. My son was born in December 2015. So,
Okay. Right. So.
so you know, they're both born in the same year. So she didn't really know anything. So
Yeah. Mm. So what was the driver for you to try, and obviously you wanted to see your children more often. Like, what made you think I want to have them full time? What was that kind of? Because
because
obviously you wanted to take away from that environment, but obviously with the current situation, with the current, as you said before, like the current kind of custody system is always geared towards the mum getting custody generally.
yeah, I think there was a couple of things really. One, obviously, she was stopping me seeing the children unless I paid X amount of money, including paying the bills on top of everything else. The fact that the kids had been placed on a children in need plan, gave me some hope that it would might go in my favour a bit. But at this point, I was having the children more and more often, and then she'd stop it, and then she'd say, "Oh, you can have the children for weeks on end." And then every time that the ex would have them, there'd be a new mark on them, or there'd be sores on the bum where they've not been cleaned properly. And I think it was just this one day, I'll never forget it. My mate rang me and says, "Did you know your children are in such and such a pub? They're very dirty. They've got no shoes on. They're just running around causing havoc." And at that point, that's when I decided I was going to go down to the pub. And I walked into the pub, picked them up, and walked out with them.
Yeah.
And then,
And what was the reaction to that?
well, she didn't
Did you
notice.
not bother?
She didn't notice for an hour and a half.
I think that's it. So tell its own story.
Yeah. So literally, I picked them up. So I drove from Lincoln to Derby, picked them up, and then I went to my mum's house in Leicester. Rang social services, rang the police, told them, that I've got the children. And at that point, when she finally realised that I took them, an hour and a half later, I got bombarded with abuse. "Bring my children back. They're my children. They're not yours. I need them children. I get paid for them children." And then her mum and dad would do the same.
Were they just as bad then? Her parents, were they in the act, as it were? So
Yeah. They never took responsibilities for anything. They enabled the abuse because they just went along with what their daughter was doing. So they were a waste of space, and still are. So
Yeah, so obviously, fast forward a couple of years, obviously you're now with your current partner. You've got children to her as well, or you?
Yeah. So she's got a son, and I've got a full parental responsibility of him. So I've brought him up since he was like a couple of months old as well. Then we had a son together. He's 3.5. So about 3.5 years ago, we had a son together, and then we've also got custody of the nephew.
Okay.
So we've got like 5 kids in the house.
Yeah, that'll be quite challenging. I take it, yeah.
Yeah. Brings its challenges.
Yeah. So how do you manage that dynamic? Then obviously all the kids will be slightly different. So how do you manage to kind of keep them all kind of happy, as it were? So.
The routines are good for children. Like we get up and it's the same routine every morning. You get up, you have your breakfast, you clean your teeth, you wash your face, you get dressed, you go to school. That is the morning routine. And if you keep that morning routine, 9 times out of 10 it goes smoothly. But there's always nothing ever runs smoothly in this house. Then obviously we've got the after school clubs. We've got brownies on a Monday, we've got beavers on a Tuesday, we've got football on a Saturday, we've got drama on a Saturday.
Yeah, so they're kind of pretty active. They're kind of kept
always,
yeah.
Always active. We've got a camper van, so we go out in that as often as we can. Like I said, we're only up the road from the beach, so if we just fancy an hour out, you can just drive 45 minutes up the road, and like I say, you're just somewhere else. So and spending time together as a family is important. So
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because they're quite outdoorsy kids, it's so nice. We can just go out and do something. Like I said, we've got a field at the bottom of the garden, and they like being active. So
it's probably just their way to let off steam as well, because obviously if they go back from school, they just want to just kind of just decompress a bit and just
and they like doing jobs a lot. So just give them a job to do. Just put the washing in the washing machine, and they're all buzzing.
Okay, hand then.
Yeah, so routines is a good way. Like I said, when you've got more than one child, if you keep a good routine, and then you can normally keep everyone in check.
Yeah. Is there one child that's quite different from all the rest, do you think, or are they all quite much of the kind of same personality, or what's the obviously one's not technically yours as such, but
well, they all have their own personalities. I mean, like my daughter, I always say to people, if you can imagine Beyonce, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey all rolled into one. That's my daughter. She's a proper diva. So much sass, so much of a diva in her. But you know, I wouldn't change it for the world. And then I've got my son Nathan Jr. He's a live wire. He never sits still. You know, he can't walk anywhere. He has to run everywhere. He's got so much energy. It's unbelievable. So and that's not a bad thing. And then you got my stepson. He's autistic, so that brings its own challenges on it in itself. But you know, he's a lovely kid. You know, he calls me his best friend all the time. But I probably piss him off the most as well. So.
Because like, if you actually, like, people don't really understand what he's thinking. I don't think because with like people who are like that, I don't think they understand what they're thinking half the time. So it's just kind of it's very difficult to manage for.
Yeah,
especially
it's kind of hard for him to grasp what the situation is in that moment in time. So you know, that brings its own challenges. And then the 3.5-year-old, well, he's just a mix of all of them. He rules the roost. If I'm honest, he's the boss of the house. Yeah. So got to snap him out of it somehow, but I don't know how, because you know, and he's so mothered by all the others. But he'll tell the others to do something, and even though he's only 3, they'll all do what he says.
They'll all jump to his command here.
Yeah. So you know, they all have their own little quirks.
Yeah.
So it's nice when you get one-on-one time with them as well. That's important, having one-on-one time with each child.
Yeah. Do you do that daily, or do you have a kind of like set thing, or how do you manage that? Obviously, because it's quite a busy household, obviously. So
yes, so like when obviously like when the daughter, she goes to Brownies on a Monday, so you know, that's the time you got that little car journey. So you spend some time with her that way. Like when I take the kids, my son football on Saturday morning, that's his kind of one-on-one time. Ethan, the autistic one, he gets a lot of one-on-one time, but sometimes he doesn't like it. He don't like to be bothered.
He just wants his own space.
Yeah, so you have to let him come to you when he's ready.
Yeah, I think that's quite like common with people who have got autism. They just want kind of their own space, get their own mindset ready for when they want to talk kind of thing. So
yeah, so you just have to be prepared for it all. So you know, you got to make sure that you give each one of them a kiss goodnight at bedtime, and they all want a cuddle. So you know, that showing them that little bit of love at night time, that goes a long way with them as well.
Especially just before bed. I think a lot of times kids just before bed, like when they speak to the parents, that's when they offload as well. Sometimes, so
yeah. So you know, it's never easy, and you know, as a parent, I don't think anyone will ever say that being a parent's easy, but it's one of the most rewarding things as well.
Yeah, I would say so. From what I understand, that's the case. Yeah. So between you and your current partner, are you married? So just a wife?
Yes, we're married. Yeah, we're married.
Right. So between you and your wife, is there kind of? Do you guys have a kind of good cop, bad cop routine? What's the like? How's that dynamic?
She's always good cop.
Yeah.
I'm dad, so I'm always a bad cop. Yeah, I could buy the ice cream and I'd still be a bad person. Yeah, you know what I mean? But no, we do try, and I think we've started a new thing where if they don't want to do anything, try and give them 2 positives. You know, rather than saying you got a choice, you either come out now or you go to bed. All right. So the choices are you either come out now or you come out in 2 minutes. Let them make that choice. Like when they don't eat the vegetables, you got a choice. Right. You either have peas and sweet corn on your plate, or you have broccoli and carrots. But either way, you're gonna have one of them. So you know, we're trying that technique at the minute. 2 positives rather than a positive and a negative, because then they're always making what they're saying is that they think they're making the right choice, when either choice they make could be right anyway, because the 2 positive choices.
There's no wrong decision. I think personally, I don't think there is such a thing as a wrong decision. It's just a kind of some are more informed than others. Sometimes you've got to make that decision. So, but I think that probably works for kids. Maybe like they've got that kind of double positive, like, you know, whatever they do is right. But then they've obviously got to kind of think, well, which one's more beneficial for me in some ways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but you know, it is normally dad's the bad person.
if,
Dad's the bad cop. So you know, if dad says no, they'll go and ask mum because she's a soft touch.
yeah, yeah, I was an only child growing up, so even I had that dynamic. So usually if mum said no, I'd go to my dad, or vice versa. You know, just kind of play them off against each other. Then you know,
Yeah, yeah. When you got five of them playing you off against each other, they forget what's happening, and also they just get what they want anyway. Because I forget all the time.
yeah, for easy life, just say yes.
Yeah, just say yeah. You don't even know what you're agreeing to half the time.
I mean, I'll come back in 2 weeks. Oh, you said I was going to get that. Well, so
Yeah.
Cool. So again, going back to the kind of again, there were toxic times and things like when you were in that situation. What obviously you said you've been good. You went to the gym. What else did you do to try and kind of free your mind from that? What was your coping mechanisms?
Music.
Yeah.
Music. Like I'm a big music lover. So you
Yep.
know, my headphones is a big part of me. You know, I've got echoes all around the house. Oh, hold on, let me turn that off because echoes come on now. And I said
Because you
echoes.
said echo.
Yeah. So you know, I've got my echoes all around the house. So wherever I am in the house, I can play music.
Yep.
I've got about 12 sets of headphones because I need music at some point.
Yeah, music is a big thing for me as well. It's like I get that. It just gives you that sense of escape, doesn't it? So
Yeah. Yes. So you know, I mean, I used to play in a brass band, so you know that was my escape. Go to the brass band and just chill with them and just play. And then sitting around my
did
mates.
she let you go to that brass band, or was that just the case of you were going regardless? Was that kind of thing that was always yours?
That's always mine. You know, I was in the brass band for about 16 years, so you know, by the time I mean, I only started playing the drums when I was 12. By the time I was 14, I was in the senior band as well as the youth band. You know, I've played in Germany. I've played for Leicester Tigers and Leicester City Football Club. You know, I've been hired out to many other bands for contests and stuff like that. So you know, I was quite
So you were
gifted.
quite skilled at what you did. So
Yeah, but I was also self-taught as well. So I think that meant more to me because I was self-taught rather than being taught by somebody else. Because I think if I
it
was
gave you
being
that extra
taught,
sense of validation that you were kind of doing things right.
yeah, I think if I was being taught, just like when I was back in school, I wouldn't have done it.
Because I think there's a sort of more sense of achievement if you do things for yourself. It's got more kind of gratification. So
Yeah, I mean, like I say, even to this day, music is my escape route. You know,
yeah.
I'll have my music on at night and I'll fall asleep to it because it helps me relax.
Yeah.
So you know,
So what is your go-to music?
depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah,
Honestly,
same with me.
depends what mood I'm in. You know, if I'm in a bit of a vile mood, it'd be me old school hip hop and rap, you know, type of thing. If I'm in a good mood, you know, a bit of reggae don't go miss, a bit of Frank Sinatra don't go miss. You know,
Quite an eclectic mix then.
yeah. If I'm sat in the office and I'm doing my work and you know I'm putting courses together or workshops, and I'll listen to a bit of classical music, a bit of a Brooklyn duo. They just play like a cello and a piano. So you know, it obviously depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah, I think music's such a personal thing as well. So it doesn't need to be kind of what everyone likes. It's what you like, which is always good. So
Yeah, you know, and obviously, like my kids, we've all got a song each. You know, I've got a song just for me and my daughter. I've got a song for just me and my sons. That we've all got our own song. So even on the school run, we've also got a family song as well
okay.
that we listen to as a family and change the words up a bit. You know, we all like singing songs, but changing the words so to fit what mood we're in on that day.
What is the family song?
So "We Are the Champions" by Queen,
Okay,
but we change it to "We Are the Wilsons."
nice.
So we used to play that every day going to school. So as we pull up to the school gates, we were all singing "We Are the Wilsons," "No Time for
Okay.
Losers," because we are the
Yeah.
Wilsons. And that stuck with us since well, whenever I won custody, going through all the battles. That was our go-to song. So that is our
It's probably a
family
good
song.
song to sort of have that. That was like we've championed that cause to get your kids
Yeah,
back. So it's gonna it takes
yeah,
it almost full circle slightly. So
yeah, all mixed both together. So yeah, so if they ever say we play the Wilson song, that's what song they mean.
yeah, I think we talked before as well about football. That's always a big thing for you as well.
Yeah,
You support Sunderland, I believe, yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately, I do.
Where did that connection come from? Obviously, you grew up kind of Leicestershire way. Where's the connection to Sunderland?
So my family are from the northeast.
Right. Okay.
So my mum and dad were born and raised in South Shield, so they're stand dancers. So obviously that's in between both Newcastle and Sunderland. So you go for one or the other. I mean, my granddad, he was a big Newcastle fan, but my dad took on the Sunderland route,
Okay.
and it's just what I was brought up. Yeah, my dad supports Sunderland, so that's who I'm going to support.
Yeah.
And because I support Sunderland, that's who my kids support.
Oh, makes sense. So
You know what I mean? But do I know a lot about football? I support Sunderland, so probably not. You know, but
Sunderland, they're kind of a bit of a sleeping giant. Sunderland, somewhat. They've got aspirations to be a top club, but they don't really have the financial clout. I don't think anymore.
Do you know what? I think now. I mean, I've just seen we've just paid 10 million for someone from Tottenham, for Clark from Tottenhm.
Yeah.
So I think now we've got that French owner coming, and obviously there's
A bit kick on a bit. So.
and now we've got up to the Championship. We can pay more in wages because obviously being in Division 1, there's a pay up. So hopefully now we're in the Championship, we can spend a bit, get some players in, and hopefully get back up to the Premier League.
Yeah. I find it quite depressing. As a Rangers fan, watching all these Championship clubs spend 10, 15 million. Rangers are kind of struggling to pay 4 or 5 million for a player.
Yeah.
You can argue say like Rangers probably a bigger club than half these clubs in the Championship, but the Championship will get the TV money, they get all the revenues, they get the parachute payments when they fall out of the Premiership. It's mental really how the gulf now between English and Scottish football. So
yeah, well, we won't talk about the football because obviously I'm going to take the weekend as a win, as a 1-0, even though the game got abandoned.
Never. It was the worst coverage though in the world though. It was just.
It was shocking.
Premier sports are just terrible at the best of times, really. But that it cut off about 10 minutes. Then Sunderland apparently scored.
Well, so because you didn't see it, it didn't happen. Is that what you're telling me?
It's been thrown in it for all I know. So,
but yeah, so and as a family, we like going back up to Sunderland all the time.
Okay, so you go to the games, yeah?
Yeah, we'll go to. I go to the games. The wife and the kids don't.
Yeah.
But with having the camper van, we like to go and park on Broker Beach. So we sleep. We sleep at the beachfront, and then we'll just go and see family. The kids love going to the stadium and walking around the stadium and going to the club shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very much big Sunderland fans.
Yeah, and you still got family up there, yeah?
Yeah, we've got a family all around the northeast. So it's nice to go back up and see them. But sometimes the language barrier is a bit much for the wife.
Yeah, I get that all the time, but obviously because I'm from Glasgow, then down here that just like people just don't understand me sometimes at all.
Yeah. So sometimes I have to stop my cousins talking and say, "Let me just translate for a minute."
Yeah.
When you're talking really fast and when you've got a really strong accent. So
yeah, I think Jordan, like Newcastle, Sunderland's probably quite similar to Newcastle, I guess.
Yeah, it's all Geordie language. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunderland's are Mackems. That's the word, isn't it?
Yeah, Mackem.
Yeah.
So the Mackems come from when they used to build the ships.
Right. Okay.
So Sunderland would Mackem.
Okay.
And Newcastle would take them. So it's Mackem and Tackham.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where it all comes from. So they'd make the
good bit of knowledge of that.
Yeah, they'd make the boats and they'd take them.
Yeah, okay. I might come up with a pub quiz one day, so I'll bear that in mind.
You'll remember that one day.
Yeah, someone asked me the question. I was like, I heard that about 10 years ago from someone. It'll all come back. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I've devised a little quiz for you just on the talk about football, about players that have played for both Rangers and Sunderland. If you're interested.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so just to make it a bit more slightly light-hearted compared to our kind of heavy topic of earlier. Oh,
Yep.
I thought you were getting off Mr. Cool with getting the specs on and just kind of get in the zone.
Right, the hair's getting a bit long, so I sold the hair back. I've not done it today, so it sold the hair back out my eyes.
These should be quite easy questions. Like if you're a big Sunderland fan, you should know these questions. I think so.
I also have a lot going on, so I've not paid attention for a couple of years.
Well, a few of them go back quite a while. So
Right, let's go for it then.
so the first one is, what was the Swedish defender that played for Sunderland and Rangers?
Bloody hell. Oh,
This is going back to probably late 90s, if that helps. Late 90s, early 2000s, maybe. I think probably late 90s.
is that Alex Ray?
No.
No. Who was
Alex
it?
Ray was one that played for both, but this guy captained Sweden, I think, in the 1994-98 World Cups, possibly. Or he was definitely involved with those teams, but not.
Was trying to think out which one was Swedish, because there's Flo and Rayner.
We don't talk about Flo.
Hey.
We don't talk about a ton of Flo. He caused Rangers to go bankrupt, basically. So, but
Go on then, give me the answer.
Joachim Björklund.
Oh yes, yeah,
Do you remember him? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Now this is a more recent one now, right? Which striker, after leaving Rangers, played in Norway, Turkey, Switzerland, and Italy before going to Sunderland?
Didn't even realise we had that many people play for that many different foreign clubs. The only one I can remember that might have played quite a lot abroad was El Ajdoof. No.
This guy was not. I'll give you a clue. This guy was Northern Irish.
Waghorn. Go on then.
Kyle Lafter.
Oh yeah. See,
I don't think it was a Sunderland that long, so that was quite a tricky one. So
it's all good fun. It's all good fun.
Yeah, and the last one, where's it then? I've got them written down here. Right, who was this last player to score a league goal at Roker Park, who used to play for Rangers?
Roker Park. When did that? I've got to go back now. When did Roker Park finish?
It was probably, I'm going to guess again, probably early 2000s. Probably this was for you.
Yeah. The only
He's
one,
Scottish, if that helps you.
mate, nothing else me. Nothing else me. Yeah, no,
His
go
name
for
was
it.
Magic, if that helps you as well.
No, go for it. There you go.
Alan Johnson.
Alan Johnson. Yeah.
Do you remember him?
Yeah. There you go. Look,
No.
my knowledge is shocking. If you'd done a music quiz, I'd have smashed it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about hip hop and reggae though, so that. No. So you scored a grand total of 0. So
I'll take that as a loss.
So again, just to kind of take it back to like your mission, as it were, for Dad's Advocates and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay, yeah.
you obviously won that Fatherhood Award quite recently for the best campaign.
Yep.
Yeah. How did that come about?
Do you know
How
what?
did you get nominated, etc.? So
I really don't know how that came about. So basically, October of last year, I started Dad's Advocates on a mission to help other fathers that have been in my situation or going through my situation, to help other dads get safe, meaningful, consistent contact with their children. So I started that, I think it was like the 28th of October last year. Then in February of this year, I got an email to say I'd been nominated for this award. I was like, well, who's nominated me? You know what I mean? None of the dads I've helped or anything had mentioned anything to me about it. So you know, I was like, okay, fair enough. And then I looked in the category who I was up against, and I was up against people like Lad Baby and the ex-footballer Ashley Kane. So I was like, well, obviously, I'm just so humbled and honoured to be nominated for these awards that I'll just go to the award event in a couple of weeks ago to network and
just
meet all,
show face and put your name out there.
Put my name out there, meet all these other fathers that are doing great, wonderful things. And then all of a sudden, I won out the blue. It came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So.
At that stage, you'd only been going for like a few months, when you first found out the nomination,
So I'd been going for 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months when I got nominated, and 7 months in total when I won the award.
Yeah. So it's still quite a baby, and it's kind of in the project terms.
Yeah. In terms of how big I want to scale it to, it's still a little tadpole. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So, but that a funny thing about the award show was, so it was free drink. So pop and pat the prosecco before the award show, and then they said, "Can we move through to the auditorium, ready for the awards given out?" So I was like now I tell my kids, but if we're ever going out, go toilet before you get in the car, right? And I should have listened to parent advice, because I went in there thinking, well, it's the first ever annual Fatherhood Award, so they're going to get straight into it. But they had some amazing guest speakers.
Right.
So about 45 minutes, we had like guest speakers, and I was like, I really need to go toilet at this point. So after the last guest speaker, I quickly ran out, went to the toilet. Then another dad came in, so you wash your hands for 20 seconds, singing happy birthday to yourself. Rather than drying it on your suit, you use hand dryer. And then I walk into the auditorium again, thinking, I couldn't have missed anything because I've only been gone like a minute. And the wife was at the door. She goes, "Nathan, you've won." And I looked up. I was like, "What?" There was 3 people standing on the stage. Dad's Advocates logo plastered on the back wall, and everyone sat in silence waiting for me to collect this award. So,
so you made your grand entrance. Yeah.
Grand entrance. It was like it had all been planned. You know what I mean? So I ran down the stage, jumped up on stage, got my award, and then they gave me a microphone
for a speech.
And obviously, 1, I'd not prepared a speech because I didn't think there was any chance I was going to win, and 2, it was just awkward because I'd just been to the loo. So the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Well, that's a bit awkward, isn't it?" And that was basically my speech. I didn't know what to say nor nothing. But yeah, so I come back a winner, and it's not me that's won. It's Dad's Advocates and what we're doing. Everything is voted by people as well. So it's not a committee members are deciding which ones wins. It's
a poll, is it? Yeah.
It's a poll, and public have voted for me. So even to this day, I mean, it's sat in the office behind me. I'm just so honoured and humbled.
Yeah, definitely. You should be very proud of what you've done so far, I think so.
Yeah. So and then like this week, I've got a Zoom meeting with an attorney in New York who, like the Americans, they've got the same kind of issues as we have in the UK, whereas fathers don't get equal justice. So he wants to talk to me about it. So I'm just a little old me from Lincoln, and the whole thing's gone like global.
I think that's a good thing. Get involved in America. You're obviously tap into 50 countries at once as well, which is all the different states, all the different laws. So it's going to be quite difficult to actually probably go kind of postal, as it were, in states.
Yeah, I'm up for the challenge.
So is that the big aim then of Dad's Advocates, to go worldwide?
Yeah, global. I want it to go global, and I want to be able to help as many dads as possible. And I want to see change in legislations and everything like that. I mean, I know we've had people like Father for Justice and people like that, but they had the right message, but they went the wrong way about showing it.
Yeah, they were quite militant, weren't they? Fathers for Justice, they all kind of chained themselves to like railings and.
Yeah, you know, that's just like asking, that shows you in dad's in a bad light. So you know, my vision is now to help as many dads as possible, and then get into the Houses of Parliament, get places where things can change, and show why they need to change.
Do you think there's appetite for that change, Nathan? Or?
Yeah, I do, and you know, the more I talk to people, the more people realise that there needs to be a change. So, but you know, like I said, because of things like Fathers for Justice, it's put it all back again. So, you know, maybe
I think probably people think that again, if there's another organisation that's like that, they might start with the same brush potentially. You're going to be kind of at Buckingham Palace, you know, handcuffed yourself to the railings, shouting and bawling, and
so
on the roof of hotels, and
maybe it does need someone like me to go to the forefront of it. You know what I mean? So, you know, try and get out there, public speaking about it, raise awareness. That's what it's all about. Helping dads and raising awareness.
Definitely. And you're really passionate about it as well, which you've been through what most of these dads will go through as well. So you can talk from experience and relate to them, which is going to help as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not just a counsellor that's going to like pat them on the back saying, okay, that's okay, we'll get through this. But then you can actually take them forward. You know what to do. You know the kind of steps to take. And
I'm very straightforward in talking and very clear about what I expect from people I help. You know, if you're not prepared to listen, then we can't help you. Do you know what I mean? So it's very clear that my things that I will teach you, they have been proven to work because I'm living proof that they do work.
Yeah.
But you've got to be worth while putting in the investment and the time to doing it. You know, I can't do everything for you. So you know the things that I put out there, you know, it's speaking from a reality, it's speaking from my own experience. So you know, people have got to look at it as an investment. You know what I mean? You've got to invest in yourself and your children to better yourself for the children.
So do you take them right from the early stages of just wanting to leave a relationship to going through court cases? Is that the full process, or is there actually just more sort of tailored plans for different people? What's the
so if a dad comes to me, I send them a little questionnaire just to fill out, just so I can get background of the situation is in there, and it is basically tailored per person. You know, but the good thing is, because everything that I do, they're also, it's so simple and it's so easy to tailor it for that one person. Do you know what I mean? And it's the way I talk to them about it, and it makes them see what's in front of them. Because your dad's going with blinkers on and get all angry and aggy. You're going to take the blinkers off and see the wider situation and take the emotions out of it all, and that's basically what I do. But yeah, so I tailor them from whatever they need help with to getting the access to the children and beyond. So, you know, and then, like I said, also in August, we start in Male Abuse Lincoln, where we help victims of male victims of domestic abuse as well. So, you know, I've wrote a whole program for that to help victims become survivors. So, you know, there's a lot going on at the minute for Dad's Advocates.
Sounds a busy time, but you would have it any other way, I don't think, though. You'd want to be kept busy and kind of stimulated.
Yeah, if I'm not busy, then I'm not winning.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know.
What's your top 3 tips you'd give a dad if they're in a situation like you've been through? What was the top 3 tips you would give them to actually move forward?
So, top tip: get hold of Dad's Advocates. No, but obviously, don't stay in a relationship. Tip number 1: don't stay in a relationship more than needed to. You know, you can be a good parent and a good dad without being in that relationship. And if the relationship's not working, you're going to be a better parent and you're going to be a better dad if you're not in that relationship. Number 2, keep yourself mentally well. You know, keep yourself active. You might not be a big gym person, but, you know, go for daily walks, go for a little jog, stimulate your mind, because when your mind starts stop stimulation, that's when you'll overthink everything.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, practice self-care, because if you're not the best version of you, you're not going to be the best version for your kids. and then they're not going to be the best version of themselves. So,
100%, yeah.
so you know, rather than going and attacking all the time, if you need to take a month away from it all, just take a month away from it all. You know, go back to it when you're mentally ready. You know, so keep yourself mentally right. And one of my tips number 3, you need to take emotions out of it. You know, remember you are a good dad, but if you so males are brought up to show anger as emotion all the time, you know, but you're not half the time you're not angry. You're either upset, you're hurt, you're disappointed that you've not been able to do what you want to do. So show
I
the
always
right
think
emotion.
anger masks its frustration sometimes. It's the frustration is more than anger. Really.
Yeah.
It displays anger, but frustration is the more predominant feeling. So
Yeah, so you show your real emotion. You know, there's no shame if you need to cry. You know what I mean? There's no shame in it. Yeah, there's no shame in reaching out for help. You know, it's that simple. And I think men have got to break down the stigma of we just got to man up and deal with it.
yeah, and that's what I'm hoping to try and do with this kind of new venture is to actually get men to talk. I think that's the big thing for a lot of men, to actually have someone to talk
Yeah.
to and just have that kind of friend in a lot of ways, because I think men generally don't have a wide circle of friends most of the time. They've got people they can go out drinking with, but they're not really friends as such.
No, yeah, definitely. So like, well,
Yeah.
since we moved to Lincoln, like I've stopped talking to a lot of people because if you don't add value to my life, I don't need you in my life, type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got a smaller group of friends now, but they bring more value to me and my family.
Yeah, and they accept who you are. I think
Yeah.
like I'm going through this phase at the moment myself, like kind of trying to find myself in a lot of ways. And I'm realizing that a lot of people who I used to be friends with or who I have been friends with wouldn't understand what I'm trying to do. So there's no point actually trying to get them involved, because if I try to talk to them, they're not going to understand. So
yeah. So there you go. Look, and I think you're doing really well. You know what I mean? Be proud of what you've done.
yeah, I've not really I don't really think I've done anything as yet. Like just putting stuff on Instagram, and I've started the coaching training, and hopefully we'll go live as a trainer probably end of the year, all going well. But you know, so a lot of steps to go. But you know, every sort of journey starts with one step. So
Exactly. But it's be prepared for how quick it will move.
yeah,
Like, because I wasn't prepared. Like Dad's Advocate took off so much, and I think especially since I've won the award, like my diary is getting fuller and fuller.
yeah. Because you've now got that credibility, you know, you've won that award. It's kind of now, Nathan's actually real. It's not just like an Instagram account as such. So
yeah. So you know, I'm as real as they are. Do you know what I mean? I speak the truth, and that's it. If you don't like me, then that's your own fault. Type of thing.
well, I think that's a good way to be, because as you say, like if they're not going to be part of your life, they're not worth having. So it's just not worth the hassle. It's not worth the the hurt that sometimes you have to go through to actually get through to people sometimes. And
Exactly. So you know, but I think you'll be all right. You'll smash it.
yeah, hopefully, all been well. Yeah, it's a big step, but we'll get there. So
You'll get there. That's what I like to hear.
So one last thing, Nathan. Well, maybe it's a penultimate thing before we go. Potentially, is if a dad wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that? What if they were someone watching this podcast and think, "Oh, I could really help. I could use Nathan's help." How would they go do it?
So we're on everything. So at the minute we're on at Dad's Advocates on Instagram.
Yep.
Dad's Advocates on Facebook. www.dadsadvocates.com. I've got my own website. So you know, we're going to be launching Twitter. We're going to be launching TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, so we're going to move wider and wider. But yeah, at the minute, Dad's Advocates on Instagram, Facebook, and my website.
Okay, cool.
You know, so easy. And it don't take me long to reply. I mean, the wife's told me I've got to learn to shut down at some point.
Yeah, but I think when you're in that growth phase, you want to just answer everything straight away. You want to just be kind of focused on that, really. So
yeah, So
Yeah, and you don't want to kind of be. We seem like to be a bit lax because if you send someone sends you a message and then you don't reply to it for a few hours, they'll kind of you'll lose a bit of maybe cred in their eyes. It's not obviously
yeah,
really, but the way social media works, they'll kind of if you reply to 99 and don't reply to the one, that one that doesn't reply is going to be the one that gives you a bit of hate. So
yeah, exactly. So you
So-
know, I do reply to everybody as quick as possible. But like I said, at
you're
the
only
minute,
human after all. So
yeah, exactly. So you know, I've got a good team of people behind me, so we're all right. We're all right.
So what would your if you're, again what would your closing words be for like if anyone wants to just what's your message to get out there? If you if one thing to say to people to if your kind of final platform, what do you want to sort of have this leaving thought as it were?
Good question. I think what I tell everyone is, don't be scared to reach out. You know, don't be scared to ask for help. Because the way I look at it is, when you start a new job, you have to be trained up on the job. So you have to ask for help. When you start a new skill in life, you have to learn it. You know, so you always have to ask someone. So being in this situation, you're not alone. So don't be scared to reach out and ask for help. Ask for advice, because you know that's how we live our life, by asking for advice.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd say. Don't be scared. Reach out and talk. Because when you're not reaching out and not talking, then that's when you go downhill.
Definitely. I think when you're in that situation, you do tend to feel quite alone though as well. But then to reach out is
Yeah.
still quite a big step for a lot of people as well though. But
Yeah.
taking again we said before, like making that one step is going to change your life probably. So
And don't forget, if you reach out to organizations, I mean, I hope you reach out to Dad's Advocates, but you know, we're technically a stranger. You know, and sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger. It's easier to talk someone out of the situation. So honestly, it's always best to reach out and ask for advice. That's what I'd say.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I think that sums everything up, Nathan. So thanks for your time today.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. And I'll need to probably work out how to edit this at some point, but
Yeah,
that'll be my next challenge. But so
YouTube it.
yeah, I'll find something. So
But yeah, it's been a pleasure.
yeah. Okay, Nathan, that's been great.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Right. Yeah, you too. Cheers now.
Bye.